Morning, everyone. First, just a disclaimer. If you hear a lot of cars, honking maybe, lots of noise, I'm outside, so hopefully you can still hear me. Anyway, I believe that we could all say something that God has done for us, even if it's just God kept me. Hey, that's a testimony. So, I want to give a small testimony today about, it's about how Jesus really does love me, but I guess it's more about peace and, you'll get the point when I tell the story. Anyway, me and my family and I, we were at an event, what do you call it? It was a church event. So we were at a church event, and we had, I think it was in Pennsville. Yes, it's in Pennsville, church event in Pennsville. And I was struggling. I was going through a lot of stuff, and I didn't quite know how to deal. I was kind of falling back into myself, which is a very bad thing that I can do. I used to do it I used to do it so bad back then. Thank God for deliverance, but back then it was terrible. My mind would be so preoccupied that I just didn't know what to do. And I couldn't keep my mind, I guess you could say, on the right thing, because it was always on the wrong thing. So anyway, I was struggling. I was having trouble, and just with myself, when you ask God to change you, He will show you who you are. And, just kind of beating yourself up a bit and like, wow, I can't believe you again. It's just up and down, keep falling, stuff like that. So it was getting to me by that time, and I really didn't know what to do. So I kept, doing what I knew to do, but honestly, I was dying from the inside out, and I just didn't know. So we went to the service, and after the service, there was a young man. I can't remember, but I think he had autism. And he was just a nice young guy. And he asked me, he said, I think he asked me, can I give you a hug? It was either that or he said, yeah, I think he asked. He said, can I give you a hug? And anybody that really knows me knows I'm not a truly huggy person. So I said, sure, and me thinking I'm just being nice, to him, whatever. And come to find out, that hug really was just for me. And so he gives me a hug, and the peace, I can't describe to you the peace that came off that young man who people would probably make fun of and etc. The peace that came off of him was just amazing. And all this worry and fret that I had, all this wondering and concern, it just seemed to melt away within like an instant. And so the peace that I got from that hug, I call it one of the best hugs I have ever received. And I've never received a hug like that since. It was a God hug, if you want to call it that. And I will cherish that. I have probably for the rest of my life. I cherish it still to this day. And that happened a few years ago. but I know that Jesus is with me. And so that night I knew that God knew. And I felt God's peace. I felt the love of God coming from that young man from a simple hug. And so anyway, so I just said all that to say this, is that God truly does love us, and he knows where we're at. He knows what we need. So I did get through that time, but I tell you, I look back after that, until I got through it on that hug that was so gentle, but yet so peaceful that I just felt the love of God, and that nothing can ever replace that. Nothing. So anyway, that's my small testimony on Jesus really does love us, and I'm thankful for it. Love you all.